I'm talking to Oz du Soleil, and he's going to talk to us about Excel training and the MVP community, and that'll be up next. Thank you so much for joining me. It is so cool.
I'm glad to be.
We're hanging out here on a beautiful September day in Portland, Oregon.
Yep.
We're actually underneath the St. John's Bridge,
right.
Big Gothic arches in Cathedral Park. This is a cool place.
It is. It is. Yep. I wanted to live up here because this bridge, and I like the community up here. But there was a housing shortage.
Yeah.
When I was looking for an apartment. 2 months, and all I could find was waiting lists.
Yeah.
But I'm happy where I'm at in Milwaukee.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. How long have you been in the Portland area?
7 years.
Okay, and you're originally from Chicago.
Yep.
Cool. So I know you through the MVP community.
Mm-hmm.
You were an Excel MVP. I'm a data platform MVP. So we kind of cross in the middle.
Yeah.
On top of Power BI and Excel and Power Query. And you presented at the Oregon Data Community meetings, which was awesome. So that provides a real interesting intersection point between, the business community, folks who use Excel and Office tools, and database professionals. So we've crossed paths quite a bit.
Yes.
So, when I'm out working with clients, and I work with a lot of folks who use Excel, as Excel as a reporting tool over SQL Server, over big database tools, and they say, oh gosh, I can't figure out how to do a VLOOKUP, or, I need to ingest and clean up some data. Well, you should be using Power Query to do that. Well, how do I learn to do that? Well, let me introduce you to my friend, Oz.
Yep.
And Excel on Fire. So how did you get started?
Get started
with Excel on Fire, with your training?
There's so many different ways to tell that story. I was working in a regular company, and I started getting good with Excel, but I didn't think of it as a skill. I saw myself as solving problems. Customers would call up with the same types of issues, and then I would go and ask people what's going on with this data, and I would get these reports, and the reports didn't match what I could see in the system. And I eventually learned how to pull data dumps out of the company database and then clean the data up in Excel.
Mm-hmm.
It led to different roles where I saw a lot of things, a lot of different data needs. And then there was a layoff in 08.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what I was going to do right away, but people started asking me about Excel questions, come in and train small teams, and then eventually I embraced the Excel thing. Well, and when the layoff was happening, after it had been announced, they let us spend time at work working on our resumes and whatnot, and people would look at my resume and say, why don't you have Excel on your resume?
Right.
I saw myself as a problem solver. End in misery. That was it for me. So eventually, I put Excel on my resume, and then these calls started coming in, and then eventually I said, okay, I'm gonna try to make this happen. Put up a website, started running a blog, and helping people on forums and on the LinkedIn forums, and got noticed. And then Jordan Goldmeyer and Rick Grantham, they were starting Excel TV, and they brought me in. I didn't know, they knew who the hell I was, but they brought me in, and I was in touch with Bill Jellin. He asked me to update
Mr. Excel.
Yep, he asked me to update a book, and I got nominated to be an MVP.
How many years
now?
We are?
2015.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. 7 years?
Yep.
6, 7 years? Awesome. And something I've noted, I've watched a number of your videos on YouTube, and a pattern that I've noticed is that it's all about solving problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about, hey, let me show you this cool feature.
Right.
It's about, hey, let me tell you about a customer I'm working with, and they had this problem to solve.
Yeah.
We needed to clean up some data. It seems like you always start with here's a problem, and let's figure out how to solve it as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
That's, well, I appreciate that you picked up on that. And that is deliberate, because I've learned a lot of things over years, whether I was playing bass or whatever. And I felt like the people teaching me didn't help me to function in the world. I could learn the bass line to a song. That helps me play the song. Mm-hmm. But that does not help me when I join a band and the band leader has some originals. How do I write a bass line to support that song? So when I teach, I think about what is going to help you function. Because I can show you a pivot table. But do you know about getting your data into the pivot table? Do you know why to use a pivot table? Are you set up to where if your source data changes that you can refresh and everything will update? That will get you functioning in the world. And then when you do that kind of stuff, people won't look at you and wonder what tree you fell out of. No. I'm Uncle Oz. I'm the uncle that says, okay, I know your father told you this, but come here. There's a twist that you gotta watch out for.
Things have changed in the industry quite a lot. I think there's been a huge momentum toward getting data away from IT, putting it in the hands of the people who understand it and run the business. And I think Excel has really become at the forefront of that movement. So what do you find most exciting about that change in the industry? Are you seeing that?
Well, I haven't worked in a big company in a while. Most of the people I've worked with, they are some 3-5 person business, or there's some small department that doesn't have support inside their enterprise. But what excites me the most is Power Query, and specifically those joins. Yeah, anti-joins, inner joins, outer joins, beautiful. Because it feels like the engineers that make Excel, they've listened and paid attention and saw, as much as folks can scream about Excel is not a database, people use it like a database.
I hear that Excel is the largest database in the world.
It is. It is. And folks need to get hip.
Yep.
Yes.
That's true.
And stop all this, Excel's not a database. Because, when you're 4 people in a company, who's going to set up the database? Who's going to maintain it? I've gone into small companies where they have been basically held hostage by the part-time IT person, the only person who knows how to run the database. And what does everybody else do? They go back to their office and open up Excel.
You are very visible in the community. You've got a great brand. People recognize you. They trust you. I see you out there in the community, not only just building your brand and building your image, but, genuinely helping people. I also see you out there just, speaking and supporting the community. So what does community mean to you?
I go back to wanting to help people function in the world. I've taken the phone calls from people, I'm about to lose my license because you all did something. And then I almost got fired. I found that out later, that I was in customer service taking calls, and I'm trying to figure out, why isn't this person on the report when I can look in the system and see that they should be on the report? That I felt like, there was one specific lady, she called me every day for 2 weeks while we unraveled the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like she should be having lunch, not talking to me. How can I prevent that kind of stuff? So one of my messages is always, I don't care so much about Excel. If you got a pocket knife and scratch some data on a tree and it's accurate, that's what we need.
I think you just described the first spreadsheet.
Okay, all right, yeah, that possibly was it. But that's where I'm coming from with the help. It's about the misery and not so much about being able to write M code or nest an X lookup inside of a filter inside of an if. I think about this if statement I wrote years ago that was 25 levels deep.
My goodness.
Because that's all I knew how to do at the time.
Right. You spend a week matching the parentheses, right?
Yeah. But it worked, and the client was happy, and that's what it was about for me. Was the client was happy. He got what he needed. His data was straightened out. Okay. I'm just thinking about this community. It's got me thinking about like big tech and all the surveillance and the data collection and everything. And I wish there were more people thinking about, how do we want to live? What is a nice life? I don't see much of that in big tech. I see, here's some cool stuff we can build. And then everything hits the fan way later, and then they say, oops. So I don't want that to happen with people's data.
Sure.
Where I can help my community in this community where I want to minimize the misery.
Minimize the misery.
Yeah.
That's a bumper sticker. Or a t-shirt. That's cool. I like that. What's your workday like? I mean, you're your own person. You run a training business. You've got a great product and you're well known for that. But how many hours do you invest in producing videos? Training?
Well, videos for my YouTube channel, they take a very minimum 6 hours. That's rare. It's usually more like 8 to 20 hours to get a YouTube video out. But my work day, it's all over the place. And it's tough being just me.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm looking at how I can outsource some more stuff. I've got a website guy, but I've got to offload some more stuff. But like today, it could start with a call. Maybe it's a one-on-one screen share tutoring session.
Okay.
And then I pack my laptop up, and I've got a 19-inch TV that I use as a secondary monitor, a portable monitor. I take all that and I go to a cigar lounge and I have some coffee and a cigar and I work on what I need to work on. So today I've got a bunch of presentations coming up in October. So I have a checklist about, okay, for this presentation, they want my title and description and some pictures of me. Okay, has that been done? If not, okay, let me do that. Start making my exercise files. Okay.
All right, so you've got a pretty regimented system.
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, because it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Because, I'll get an email from my producer at LinkedIn saying, okay, so I've got 2 challenges on LinkedIn. One comes out every Friday, and then a more advanced challenge comes out every other Monday. So my producers say we need 15 more ideas so that we have videos set up for Q1 of next year. So now I've got to think about what challenges I've done, think about some new challenges, make myself some notes, and then she gets it approved, and then she does a handoff to the producer. Then we have to schedule some time for me to record, and so that might be 4 days set aside where I'm just recording my LinkedIn videos.
Okay. This takes some planning and some work.
Yeah.
And some post-production.
No, I don't do the post-production, and that's one thing I like about my relationship with LinkedIn is I record the videos and I put them in a shared folder, and then their editing people take it, audio people, the people who put the thumbnails on, or what have you.
Now, I recently learned that you also do training for TechSmith. So tell me about that.
That's exciting. I didn't know.
Now, TechSmith makes some great products. They make Camtasia and Snagit.
Yes. So TechSmith makes Camtasia, the video editing software, and
which we're using to edit this video, by the way.
So I didn't know they knew me, and so maybe a year ago we did a live stream talking about video length. That's always a topic of work with content creators. How long should a video be?
Right.
So we talked about that, and we did another live stream recently, and then they asked me, they said, we're starting this thing called TechSmith Academy, and we would like for you to put a course on there. So we got on a call and started discussing different ideas, what would fit for them, what my expertise is, or what I could share of value to people. And so I made about a 20-minute video on my process for editing video.
Okay, and we'll link to the TechSmith Academy.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm excited about that because it's not a thing on how do you do a ripple delete. How do you do a behavior? It's more sitting over somebody else's shoulder while they edit.
Okay.
And I show, okay, so now you got your raw footage. Don't start putting in your annotations and music and stuff. No, get rid of all of the mistakes. Get those out of the way, because you don't want to have a whole bunch of pieces and then try to put your annotations across these pieces.
So I learned very, very early on how to spot an in the wave. I could spot myself saying because I say a lot.
Okay.
And I could look at the audio wave and I could see there's an there's an You clip those. You clip all of those.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
wow.
Maybe eventually I learned how to stop saying all the time, but that was you learn how to do that.
Well, edit enough video and get tired of editing them out.
Oh yeah.
And then
True. All right. Next topic. So, you work hard. What do you do for play? How do you unplug?
There is a great bar here in Portland, Scotch Lodge.
Okay.
I like to go sit at the bar. The bartenders know my palate. They know that I like something with strong in spirits, like bourbon or whiskey, and I like it sweet and nothing bitter, chilled with no ice. And I walk in and the bartender automatically starts making me something. And I sit and talk with some great people. I talked with an internal medicine physician a few days ago. And I talked with a father-son who were in town from San Jose just visiting. And we talked about the father's life growing up in Texas, what it was like to be Mexican who doesn't speak Spanish, and the hell he got growing up in school because of that. So that's what I do. Unplug is I go to the bar to meet people, not to get drunk, because because the thing is, I figured that out when all these lockdowns happened, and then things started opening up. The bars opened up, but I was sitting outside, spread out from everybody.
You don't have the same social interaction.
No.
The same connections.
Right. And there's a cigar lounge here up on Hawthorne where I've got a really good community.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You just as we sat down here, we were just chatting. You were telling us about a road trip that you recently went on, and you made a point not necessarily to go to big cities, but to kind of tour the Southwest and go to small ghost towns. So tell me about that again briefly.
Oh, how can I be? Well, it started really when I drove from Chicago to move to Portland. I took 16 days and I stopped in small towns, get gas, talk to people, and I learned so much about this country, and it gave me an appreciation. I saw a landscape I'd never seen before, and I wanted to see more of it. It took me 7 years to do it, but I got to a place to where I just need to get in the car and go. And when I left Portland, I didn't know where I was going to sleep that night. It happened to be Winnemucca, Nevada. And I made my way down through Las Vegas and up through Moab and Meridian, Idaho, and back to Portland. But 13 days, and I talked with some of the greatest people, and I saw tumbleweeds that weren't in a black and white Western or a cartoon.
Right?
Yes.
That's a different landscape than Chicago or Portland.
Yes. And I see all those.
And you fed burros in Beatty, Nevada. Okay, Sherry and I have been there. That was
wow. And just talking with people. It was really moving to talk with people that I could tell that we were politically different, but that didn't matter. I was there to find out, why does somebody live in a town of 2,000 people that's 5 hours away from Las Vegas? Why? And he said he just wants a simple life. His $40,000 house is paid off. He can go to bed with his door open so his dogs can get in and out. And I can respect that.
Thanks.
And I loved having those kind of conversations with people. And even in Las Vegas, sitting at a bar and talking with, I met a young guy who designs highways in Dallas. And he's talked about how they got to figure out what kind of grass to grow on meridians and stuff. That's what I went out there for.